Hey everybody, welcome to today's meal. We are making Tabouli. The first thing that makes a big difference depending on who's making it is how much couscous you put in it. And according to MediterraneanDish.com, the salad is more about the vegetables and less about the couscous. So it's actually Bulgar wheat, I think is the term, but I don't have easy access to that, so I use couscous, which is fine, but you don't use a whole bunch of it. But I'm actually starting off with my mint first because my board is going to get wet. So I start with the least juiciest and then go from there on. It gets wetter and wetter as we move on through the different options. So this is my mint that I'm going to put in. Oops. It wasn't a lot of mint in the package, so I would normally put probably about twice as much in. But this is what I have, so this is what I'm going to use. So just pick that up and put it in the bowl. And I modify these recipes for a couple of reasons. One is I might not get through everything that I need to use fast enough. And so I try to be careful that way. But also, I live alone, and so I modify things for that reason as well. So the couscous, I put 1/4 cup in to a measuring cup. I'm almost out of couscous. I put 1/4 cup into a measuring cup, and then I do just hot water from the tap. I find that works just as well. Well, it was super hot. Now it's not so hot. It's equal proportions. So just do that. Mix it up a little bit so that the couscous is evenly coated in the hot water. We're going to let that sit. All right. Next, we're going to do green onion. I believe it calls for a regular onion, like red onion. But if you've watched any of my other episodes, you know I don't really care for that. Because I don't use it fast enough, I just go ahead and use olive green onion. Line up the roots, cut them all off together. start at the white side because if I start the other direction, the whites shoot out. So to keep them all together, I just do it this way. I'm not a good cutter, but I am careful, which is why I'm so slow in the kitchen. Next, we're going to do English cucumber. I think it calls for one of the recipes calls for 3/4 of an English cucumber. If it's this one, I just use the whole thing. After all, it's not going to hurt. Okay. Slice off that end. And I found it's best to cut about that diameter. I don't know if you can see it very well. Excuse my nose. But if you get too much thinner, then when you're dicing it, it doesn't work as well either. So try not to get too thin or too thick. The reason why they use English cucumber or hothouse cucumbers is because there's not a lot of seed in the middle, and so therefore they're not as juicy, so they keep their shape. I think this is the same thing that pickles are made from as well. When you're talking about dill pickles and sweet pickles and stuff. Just making sure I was recording. For a minute, I thought I forgot. So then, depending on how big they are, I actually try to do them all in 9 squares. So 2 rows, 2 cuts on each axis. So do 2 there and then rotate it and do 2 more. And then that makes a nice diced cucumber. I've tried doing 3 cuts rather than 2, and it makes it nice and diced, but it's harder to deal with, so that's why I just stick with 9 cuts. Well, 4 cuts, 9 pieces. All right. Next is our tomatoes. We're going to do this a little bit differently. So with the tomatoes, these are Roma tomatoes, and they're also less juicy, but they're still juicy. Well, this one doesn't appear to be. So when we cut them up, rather than putting them right away in the bowl, we actually put them in a strainer. That I have sitting over here. And you'll see other ones will be much juicier. But I'm doing the same cut. So it's cutting them into 9 pieces, each slice. So my strainer setup looks like this. There's a little bit of juice in there. Not a lot, but a little bit. A little bit more just about. Okay, next, the longest part. Parsley. I think it's only 1 cup, but this is another one. I just used the whole thing because I'm not going to use it up fast enough otherwise. All right, be prepared to be sped up. Okay, so that's what my bowl looks like. I'm going to take the couscous and fluff it, which sounds funny. Whoops. Did I mention I'm a messy cooker, baker, meal maker, whatever term you want to use. All right. So we fluff the couscous and pour it in. I'll clean that in a bit. And then next, I don't know if I have enough of this. We're going to try this. 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. 2, 3. Looks like I have just enough. The grocery store was out of the lemon and the lime containers like this. So I do have some lime left, but I don't like it as much in the tabbouleh, so I do lemon instead. And then 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. It actually says 3 tablespoons, I think, in the recipe, but that feels like too much for me, so I only do 2. That's all of the ingredients. Next is mixing it all up. And then that's the end result. So next I put it in my containers, which I forgot to pull out before I put the recorder up. I use my storage bowls. These are 4-cup storage bowls. I think this will only do 2 bowls. I can't remember, but I pulled 3 out just in case. Because I use this as a main meal, that's why I go ahead and do 4 cups. But you can do it as a side or a snack. Yeah, and all I'm going to get is 2 bowls out of this. So total of 8 cups. You can do the math for yourself there. The recipe calls for 4 Roma tomatoes. I used 5, just so I have a little bit more tomato in my meal. So 8 cups and this amount. And I'm just going to eat that right now rather than worry about dirtying up another bowl. All right, there you go. That's my tabbouleh, or my version of tabbouleh. I'll put the original recipe in the description below, and I hope everybody has a good day. Bye.